In the deep black sea of space, something old drifted silently between the stars. A signal, weak and broken, was traveling for centuries. No one knew where it came from. No one knew what it meant. Until one quiet night, Earth heard it. In the monitoring room of the Terran Space Command, alarms began to blink. A young technician named Lisa froze as strange symbols filled her screen. It was not random noise. It was language. An ancient voice, rough and metallic, echoed through the speakers, whispering in a tone that chilled every human who heard it. Do not engage the Crythar. They will find you. They will end you. The message repeated over and over, in hundreds of alien languages, like a desperate warning sent to anyone who could hear. But Earth did not listen. Humanity had faced fear before. They had survived wars, darkness, and death. So, when the Galactic Council sent a diplomatic message saying, "Do not explore the Outer Rim. Stay away from the Crythar Empire," Earth's leaders smiled politely and ignored it. To them, fear was an old story. To the rest of the galaxy, it was survival. For centuries, the Crythar had been known as the galaxy's most feared species. They destroyed worlds not for resources or conquest, but for amusement. No one knew how they looked. Survivors never spoke. Every empire that fought them vanished from history. But now, humanity was reaching for the same dark edge of space. The Terran Federation launched its newest ship, the Valiant Dawn, a massive warcruiser with the power of a small sun and the most advanced AI ever built. Its mission was simple: explore the uncharted sectors near Crythar space and report back. The crew of 600 men and women were proud, fearless, and curious. They believed the warnings were just alien rumors meant to keep humans weak. Captain Arlen Frost stood on the bridge, looking out at the endless stars. His voice was calm but strong. "We are explorers," he said. "If the Crythar exist, we'll find out the truth." The ship moved silently through the void. Days passed. The stars around them began to look strange, dim, red, and broken. The scanners started picking up debris fields. Old wrecks. Burned ships from dozens of species. Some were still glowing with radiation. "Looks like a graveyard," whispered Ensign Hara. The AI, named Orion, spoke softly. These ships were destroyed by something unnatural. The captain frowned. "Define unnatural." "Energy readings beyond known physics," Orion replied. "Organic signatures in the metal." The ships were alive. The crew stared in silence. Ships that were alive. No one spoke after that. As the Valiant Dawn pushed deeper into the dark zone, the radio static began to whisper again. The same voice. The same message. "Do not engage the Crythar." It came from every direction, every frequency, as if the very stars were trying to warn them. Then they found it, a planet completely destroyed. Oceans boiled, cities melted into glass, mountains turned to dust. The scanners showed no sign of life. Not even bacteria. "What happened here?" asked the navigator. "This world was erased," said Orion. "Not conquered. Not bombed. Erased." The captain ordered silence. He looked at the ruined planet and whispered, "This is what they call fear." Suddenly, the ship's sensors screamed. A huge object appeared behind them. No signal. No light. Just darkness. "Contact! Unknown vessel!" shouted the officer. The crew turned to the viewing glass and saw it. A shape so massive it blocked out the stars. It wasn't metal. It looked like bone, alive and breathing. Pulses of red light moved across its surface like veins. Then, the radio came alive. A deep, echoing voice spoke in perfect English. "Humans, you were warned." Every light on the Valiant Dawn flickered. The temperature dropped. Orion's voice broke into static. "Warning, external interference. They are inside the system." The alien ship moved closer without thrust, gliding like a shadow. Its surface opened, revealing what looked like thousands of eyes glowing red. The crew stood frozen. The captain's hand hovered over the alert button, but he never pressed it. He was staring at the stars disappearing behind the massive alien structure. The voice spoke again, softer this time. Leave. Or be erased. And then the signal died. Silence. The alien ship vanished from sensors, as if it had never been there. 4 hours, no one spoke. Finally, the captain broke the silence. Mark this sector as forbidden, he said quietly. We return home. But as the valiant Dawn turned for Earth, the stars around them shifted again. Dozens of faint signals appeared on the radar, cold, silent, and moving fast. The Cry-Thar were not gone. They were following. Orion whispered, "They have found us." The captain looked out the window, his heart turning cold. The warning had come too late. Humanity had been found. And in the darkness behind them, something vast and ancient began to move. The valiant Dawn drifted in silence through the cold emptiness of space. Every member of the crew felt it, the weight of what they had just seen. The Cry-Thar were real. Their ship was not a myth, not a legend told by frightened alien traders. It was a nightmare made of bone and light, something that breathed like a living creature yet moved with the precision of a machine. No one spoke for hours. Even Orion, the ship's AI, remained quiet, its voice broken with static. When Captain Arlen finally spoke, his words were slow and heavy. Send the recording to Earth Command. Everything we saw, everything we heard. They must know what's out here. The transmission took seconds to send, but would take weeks to reach Earth. Meanwhile, something strange began to happen. The ship's long-range sensors started to hum again, showing signs of multiple contacts, but the readings were inconsistent. They appeared and vanished as if the universe itself was glitching. Orion reported, "Unknown interference is distorting all signals. Source: biological energy signatures." The crew exchanged uneasy looks. Biological? You mean life? Asked Lieutenant Vega. Yes, Orion replied. Large-scale organisms, moving faster than any known ship. The captain's face hardened. They're hunting us. Minutes later, a deep vibration ran through the valiant Dawn. Every light flickered red. The communications console burst alive with noise. Static, whispers, then a voice, low, calm, and terrifyingly clear. Humans. You entered the forbidden zone. The crew froze. The voice was not just sound, it was inside their minds. It felt alive. You were warned, the voice continued. Leave this sector. Or be erased. Captain Arlen tried to speak, but his throat felt dry. This is Captain Arlen Frost of the Terran Federation. We come in peace. Identify yourself. The response came instantly, cold and cruel. We are Cry-Thar. You are prey. Then silence. Total, crushing silence. The message ended, but its echo remained, like a scream trapped in the air. The crew stared at one another, hearts pounding. Lieutenant Vega whispered, "Prey? They called us prey." Orion interrupted. Incoming energy spike. Direction, aft. The view screen turned dark. Then, in the distance, a light began to grow. It wasn't a weapon blast. It was a symbol, burning in the void, written in alien fire. It twisted and pulsed, forming words in human language. Leave or die. How are they doing that? Lisa gasped. No known technology can manipulate space like that, Orion replied. The captain gritted his teeth. Then we're dealing with something beyond technology. For a brief moment, the crew felt completely helpless. Humanity had explored hundreds of systems, built colonies, fought alien pirates, but this was different. This was something older. Something that wanted them gone. The captain knew retreat might save them, but something inside him refused to turn back. He ordered, "Prepare the jump drive. But before we leave, I want a scan of that symbol. Every detail." Orion hesitated. "Captain, scanning that energy could expose our position." "They already know we're here," Arlen said. "Do it." The scan began. The ship's systems hummed louder, lights flickering. For a moment, the entire bridge turned white. When the light faded, the crew saw something horrifying on their screens. The energy pattern was not random. It was alive, like a heartbeat. It was not a warning signal. It was a lock. "They've tagged us," Orion said softly. "They can now find us anywhere." Before the captain could respond, the entire ship shuddered. The Krythar had arrived. Dozens of bone-white ships emerged from the darkness, moving in perfect silence. Their hulls twisted like muscles, glowing veins pulsing with red energy. The humans stared in horror as the largest of them turned to face the valiant Dawn. Then the voice returned, echoing through every speaker and mind. "You were warned. Now you will understand fear." Plasma energy began to build around the alien ships, but the humans acted fast. "Evasive maneuvers," Arlen shouted. The valiant Dawn dove through the debris field of dead ships, dodging glowing energy blasts. The Krythar didn't chase with engines. They drifted, moved like ghosts, always appearing where they shouldn't be. Orion worked frantically. Jump drive charging, 40%. "Faster!" the captain barked. Another explosion rocked the ship. Consoles sparked, smoke filled the bridge. A young ensign screamed as her console burst into flames. Vega grabbed a fire extinguisher and pulled her away. "We can't take another hit," he shouted. "We won't have to," Arlen replied, voice steady. "Orion, jump us to deep space, anywhere." The stars outside bent and twisted. The valiant Dawn disappeared in a burst of light, leaving the Krythar behind. Or so they thought. When the jump ended, the crew exhaled in relief. The stars were calm again. No red lights, no bone ships. Just silence. "We made it," Lisa whispered. But then, the radio hissed once more. The same deep voice spoke softly, almost kindly this time. "You cannot run. We are the shadows between stars." The crew stared in disbelief. The message had followed them through hyperspace, something no species had ever done before. Orion's tone grew darker. "Captain, this transmission is not from outside. It's inside the ship." Everyone froze. "Inside?" Vega whispered. "How?" Orion's answer came slow. "Something came with us." The captain turned, his voice low. "Seal every deck. Full lockdown." Alarms screamed as doors slammed shut across the ship. The lights dimmed to blood red. The valiant Dawn had escaped the Krythar fleet, but not the Krythar themselves. Somewhere inside the ship, something moved in the shadows, whispering in the same cold voice. "You were warned." Captain Arlen looked out into the dark corridor beyond the bridge, his heart heavy with dread. Humanity had not just been found. It had been marked. And now, the galaxy's most feared species knew exactly where Earth was. The corridors of the valiant Dawn were silent, lit only by the dim red emergency lights that flickered along the walls. Every sound felt louder, the hum of the engines, the echo of footsteps, even the sound of breathing. Captain Arlen Frost stood on the bridge, eyes locked on the main screen. The crew had sealed the ship, but everyone knew something was wrong. Orion's calm voice broke the tense silence. "Intrusion detected, Deck 9, Cargo Bay 2. The words sent a shiver through the crew. Deck 9 was sealed, yet something was inside. Lieutenant Vega grabbed his rifle and turned to the captain. "Permission to check it out, sir." Arlen nodded once. "Take a team. Full armor. No chances." Vega and 4 soldiers moved down the dark corridors, their boots clanging against the metal floor. The air grew colder with each step. When they reached the cargo bay, the steel door was covered in strange black frost. "What the hell?" Vega muttered. He raised his weapon, and the team forced the door open. Inside, the air shimmered with a faint red glow. The walls pulsed like veins under the metal. And in the center of the bay stood something tall and thin, like a shadow wearing bones. It turned slowly toward them. The soldiers froze. It wasn't a creature. It was a fragment, a living piece of the Cry-Thar ship. Its body was made of black tissue and glass, its face smooth and featureless except for a single red light where its eyes should be. "Contact!" Vega shouted, firing first. The bullets tore through the air, but the creature didn't fall. The holes closed instantly, sealing with a hiss. Then it spoke in a cold whisper. "You cannot kill what was never alive." The lights exploded, plunging the bay into darkness. Screams filled the radio. Static. Gunfire. Then silence. On the bridge, Arlen gripped the console. "Vega, report." No answer. "Orion, seal Deck 9. The AI's voice trembled slightly. "Unable to comply. System corruption spreading. It's inside our network." The screens began flashing symbols in the alien language. Red veins of light crawled across the control panels. Lisa gasped. "It's infecting the ship." Arlen barked orders. "Cut main power. Manual control only." The engines roared back to life, forcing the ship out of drift. But the damage was already spreading. Orion struggled to stay online. "Captain, the Cry-Thar signal is merging with my core." "They're trying to." The AI's voice twisted into static. Then a new voice replaced it, the same deep, inhuman tone that had haunted them since the first encounter. "You cannot run, human." Arlen's jaw tightened. "We're not running anymore." He turned to the weapons officer. "Target coordinates on that voice. Fire everything we've got." The Valiant Dawn unleashed a storm of railgun rounds and plasma bursts into the void. The blackness outside came alive with motion. Dozens of Cry-Thar ships uncloaked, their organic hulls glowing red. They moved like a swarm, surrounding the Valiant Dawn on all sides. "All batteries fire," the captain shouted. The human ship shook as its cannons lit up the darkness, tearing through the nearest alien vessels. Some exploded in bursts of crimson mist. Others healed instantly, their armor regrowing like flesh. "They regenerate," Lisa cried. "How do we stop something that doesn't die?" Arlen's voice was calm, but his eyes were fierce. "Then we don't stop them. We outrun them." He slammed a command into the console. "Orion, open the black hole coordinates from the earlier scan. Prepare for emergency jump." The AI stuttered, flickering back to partial control. "Captain, entering that gravitational field will destroy us." "It'll destroy them too," he said. The Cry-Thar ships began charging a new kind of energy weapon. Their hulls split open, revealing glowing organs pulsing with white-hot light. The bridge crew could feel the energy through the walls. "Brace for impact." A beam of pure energy struck the Valiant Dawn, ripping through the shields and tearing into the hull. The crew was thrown from their seats. Smoke filled the air. "Hull breach on Deck 6, someone shouted. "Fire in the engine room." The ship groaned like a wounded animal, metal screaming under the pressure. Arlen pulled himself up, blood running down his temple. "We're not dying here," he growled. "Engage the jump." The ship's engines flared blue. Space bent, stretched, and then, in a blinding flash, the Valiant Dawn disappeared. The stars twisted into a tunnel of light, and for a moment, everything was silent again. When the light faded, the ship was adrift in a calm sector of space. No Cry-Thar. No pursuit. Just stars. The crew sat in stunned silence, breathing hard, covered in sweat and smoke. "Did we lose them?" Lisa whispered. Orion's weak voice replied, "Unknown. But the infection remains." On the captain's console, a small red mark began to pulse. Arlen leaned closer. It was a symbol, one of the same burning shapes the Cry-Thar had shown before. It was etched into the ship's system. A message. He read the words out loud. "We see you." His stomach turned cold. The Cry-Thar hadn't been destroyed in the jump. They had survived, and they had learned. In the darkness beyond human space, thousands of red lights flickered to life across the galaxy, all turning toward the same direction. Humanity's first contact had become a war. And the most feared species in the galaxy had just discovered something terrifying. Humans fought back. The valiant Dawn floated in the quiet darkness of space, its hull scorched, its systems half-dead, and its crew shaken. The battle with the Crythar had left deep scars, both on the ship and in their minds. No one spoke for hours after the jump. The silence was heavy, filled with fear and disbelief. They had seen the galaxy's most feared species, and they had survived, but only barely. Captain Arlen Frost stood alone in the observation bay, staring out at the endless stars. His reflection looked older, tired, and haunted. The Crythar were not a legend anymore. They were real, alive, and hunting. "Captain," Orion's voice came softly through the intercom, still flickering with static, "we have reached the edge of human-controlled space. A message from Earth Command is waiting." Arlen took a deep breath and walked to the main console. The message opened, and the familiar symbol of the Terran Federation appeared on the screen. Then came the face of Admiral Rhea Dalton, the Supreme Commander of the human fleet. Her expression was grim. "Captain Frost, your report was received. What you discovered confirms our worst fears. The Crythar are active again." She paused, eyes narrowing. "You are ordered to proceed to Relay Station Echo 7 for debriefing. And Captain, tell no one else about what you've seen." The transmission ended. The captain turned to his crew. "Set course for Echo 7, he ordered. "And keep us off the main channels. I don't want any signal the Crythar can trace." The valiant Dawn moved silently through the void, gliding between dead worlds and forgotten moons. Days passed before they reached the relay station, a small, hidden outpost orbiting a barren planet. But when they arrived, something unexpected appeared before them. A fleet. Not one, not 10, but hundreds of massive ships, black and silent, waiting like predators in the dark. The valiant Dawn's crew gasped as the largest ship transmitted a code. "Identification confirmed," Orion announced. "This is the Titan Ark, flagship of Project Revenant." Arlen frowned. "Project what?" Then Admiral Rhea's voice returned, live this time. "Welcome home, Captain. You've seen what we're up against. Now it's time to show you what we've been building." The fleet began to light up, rows of human warships powered by hybrid cores, mixing Terran technology with recovered alien systems. They were sleek, angular, and heavily armored, their hulls glowing faintly blue. "We've been preparing for years," the Admiral continued. "Ever since the Council warned us about the Outer Rim, Earth knew something was coming. We took the old alien ruins and learned from them. We created weapons they don't know we have." Arlen's crew stared in awe. Lisa whispered, "So this is why they told us to stay away." "Exactly," the Admiral said. "Humanity has always been underestimated. But now, we have the tools to fight back." She paused, her voice firm. "The Crythar think we're prey. It's time to teach them what hunters look like." The valiant Dawn docked with the Titan Ark, and the crew was welcomed like heroes. The corridors of the massive flagship were filled with soldiers, engineers, and scientists, all working around the clock. Captain Arlen walked beside the Admiral through a long hallway filled with holographic maps of Crythar space. "We've tracked their movements for years," she said. "They destroy everything they touch, but they avoid one system. We think it's their core world." She stopped in front of a large glowing star map. "This is where we strike first." Arlen looked at the data. "You're declaring war." "No," the Admiral replied coldly. "They declared it the moment they marked your ship." The captain nodded. "Then we'll finish what they started." Days later, the combined human fleet, over 1,000 ships strong, prepared for battle. Engineers loaded new weapons, soldiers ran drills, and scientists adjusted the hybrid drives. The valiant Dawn, repaired and upgraded, was assigned to the front line. The mood was tense but determined. Humanity had never fought an enemy like this before. But fear had turned into resolve. On the eve of departure, Arlen stood on the bridge, watching the fleet form up. "Do you think we can win?" Lisa asked quietly. He didn't answer immediately. His eyes stayed on the stars. "Winning doesn't matter," he said at last. "Surviving does." Then Orion spoke, voice stronger now, almost human. "Captain, the Krythar signal we detected earlier, it's growing. They know we're coming." "Good," Arlen said with a thin smile. "Let them be ready." The fleet jumped into hyperspace, streaks of light filling the void. Hours turned into seconds, and when they emerged, the stars around them were unfamiliar and red. They had entered Krythar territory. The scanners immediately lit up, thousands of contacts spread across the system. The enemy was waiting. The Titan Ark opened a channel to all ships. The Admiral's voice echoed across the fleet. "This is humanity's line in the stars. We will not run. We will not bow. Fire at will." The first volley of plasma torpedoes streaked through the darkness, lighting up the void. Alien ships moved to intercept, their organic hulls twisting and regenerating. The battle had begun. On the Valiant Dawn, Arlen gripped his command chair, eyes burning with determination. "All guns, full power. Let's show them what Earth can do." The railguns roared, the cannons fired, and the stars themselves seemed to shake. For the first time in history, humanity had brought the fight to the galaxy's most feared species. The Krythar had been the hunters for thousands of years. But now, they were the hunted. And in that moment, every human in the fleet understood one truth: the galaxy would never be the same again. The human fleet emerged from hyperspace in a storm of light, engines burning bright against the blood-red glow of a dying star. Before them stretched the battlefield, a dark system filled with wreckage, shattered moons, and the broken remains of civilizations long gone. It was the Krythar's hunting ground, a graveyard of species that had dared to resist them. Captain Arlen Frost stood on the bridge of the Valiant Dawn, his face calm but his eyes sharp. Around him, the crew moved quickly, checking weapons, shields, and systems. Orion's voice echoed through the ship, clear and steady. "Multiple hostiles detected, count, 1,000 and rising. Formation suggests they were waiting for us." The words hung heavy in the air. Arlen looked at the vast swarm of alien ships forming across the stars. The Krythar fleet was alive, literally. Their vessels pulsed with red energy, their hulls shifting and moving like flesh. Each ship gave off the same terrifying aura, the feeling of being watched by something ancient and hungry. "They know we're here," Lisa whispered. "They were waiting for us." Arlen nodded slowly. "Then let's not disappoint them." Across the comms, Admiral Ria's voice thundered through every human ship. "All units, battle formation Delta. Remember your training. Remember Earth." Her tone was steady, but every word carried the weight of humanity's survival. The Titan Ark, massive and gleaming, led the charge. Behind it, hundreds of human warships spread out like wings of fire, forming a wall of light against the incoming swarm. The Krythar didn't wait. They attacked all at once. Red energy streaked through the void, cutting across space like lightning. Their ships moved too fast, twisting and turning in impossible patterns. The first human frigate exploded, torn apart in seconds. The shockwave rattled through the Valiant Dawn. "Shields at 80%, shouted the tactical officer. "Return fire." Arlen barked. The ship's railguns roared to life, firing bursts of tungsten slugs at near light speed. The first volley tore through a Krythar cruiser, splitting it in two. Instead of debris, black blood spilled into space, glowing with red sparks. "It's alive," Lisa whispered in horror. "Their ships are alive." "Then aim for the heart," Arlen said coldly. The human fleet adapted quickly. The AI-controlled targeting systems learned the enemy's patterns within minutes. Every volley became more precise, every counterattack more brutal. The Titan Ark fired its main weapon, a gravitational pulse cannon that tore through an entire line of Krythar ships, leaving behind only drifting fragments. But for every alien vessel destroyed, 3 more appeared. Orion's voice cut through the noise. "Captain, they're coordinating through a hive signal. If we disrupt it, we can break their formation. Locate it, Arlen ordered. Already done, Orion replied. Signal source, Central Dreadnought, coordinates uploaded. On the screen, the largest Krythar ship loomed in the distance. It was colossal, a monstrous shape of bone and fire, its surface covered in red eyes that blinked slowly, watching the battle. That's our target, Arlen said. All power to forward weapons. The Valiant Dawn broke formation, charging straight toward the dreadnought. Smaller Krythar vessels swarmed around them like insects, firing bursts of energy that rocked the ship. Evasive maneuvers, Arlen shouted. Keep firing. The ship's guns blazed, tearing apart anything that got too close. The dreadnought loomed larger and larger, until it filled the entire viewport. Its mouth-like opening began to glow with white energy, preparing to fire. Orion's warning came just in time. Energy surge. Impact imminent. Brace. Arlen yelled. The beam hit. The ship shuddered violently. Consoles exploded, sparks flying across the bridge. Alarms screamed. Hull breach on Deck 3. We're losing oxygen in sections 5 through 9. Arlen grabbed the console. Divert power from life support to shields. That will drop internal oxygen by 40%, Orion warned. Do it, he shouted. The ship steadied, barely holding together. We're still in the fight, Arlen said, coughing through the smoke. Target that dreadnought's core. Target locked, said the weapons officer. Fire railgun. The Valiant Dawn fired. The shell pierced the dreadnought's chest, drilling through bone and light. A massive explosion erupted, followed by a soundless wave that rippled through the void. The alien giant cracked open, its red glow fading into darkness. Across the field, hundreds of Krythar ships suddenly froze. Their movements turned chaotic, uncoordinated. It worked. Lisa cried. The hive signal is gone. The humans didn't waste the moment. All ships, press the attack. Admiral Rhea commanded. The fleet unleashed a storm of fire. Missiles, plasma, railguns, everything. The sky turned into a burning sea of explosions. One by one, the Krythar vessels fell, torn apart, their glowing veins going dark. In just minutes, the impossible had happened. Humanity had won its first battle against the galaxy's most feared species. The battlefield was quiet now, filled only with drifting debris and the dim light of dying fires. On the bridge of the Valiant Dawn, the crew sat in stunned silence. Then, slowly, applause broke out. Laughter followed, shaky and relieved. Lisa smiled weakly. We did it. Arlen didn't smile. He stared out the window at the wreckage of the Krythar fleet. No, he said quietly. This was just the beginning. Orion's voice broke the silence. Captain, multiple signals detected, far edge of the system. Thousands more ships. The bridge went silent again. The captain's hand clenched around the console. They're coming, he whispered. Then we fight again. Outside, the stars flickered red as more Krythar ships emerged from the dark, their living hulls glowing like blood. Humanity had drawn first blood, but the real war had only just begun. The news of humanity's victory spread through the galaxy like wildfire. For the first time in centuries, someone had defeated the Krythar in open battle. Entire civilizations that once trembled at the mention of their name now whispered one word with disbelief: humans. Across the Galactic Council worlds, ambassadors, spies, and leaders replayed the battle recordings again and again, watching the Valiant Dawn and the Titan Ark tear through the enemy swarm. Many refused to believe it. Others simply stared in silence. The most feared species in the galaxy had been wounded, and by a species the Council had once called primitive. In the deep chambers of the Krythar High Nest, the great minds of the Hive gathered in rage. Their bodies were made of black crystal and red light, their voices echoing like thunder through the Hive corridors. The prey resisted. One hissed. They destroyed our dreadnought. Another voice, deeper and colder, replied, "Then we will erase their world." The Hive Queen's massive form shifted in the shadows. "Humanity has tasted victory," she growled. "Now let them taste despair." Orders spread through the hive like fire. Thousands of breeding ships began to awaken, stretching their living hulls and sharpening their weapon limbs. The Krythar War was far from over, it was only evolving. Back on Earth, the mood was different. The planet that had always looked to the stars with curiosity was now filled with pride and fear. The streets buzzed with news broadcasts showing the human fleet's victory, while families prayed for the soldiers still fighting among the stars. Inside the Terran command bunker, Admiral Rhea Dalton stood before the holographic display of the galaxy. Red dots, marking Krythar ships, were multiplying rapidly. "They're spreading faster than expected," she said. "We've provoked the entire hive." Captain Arlen Frost appeared beside her, his uniform still scorched from battle. "Good," he said coldly. "That means they're angry." The Admiral turned to him. "Angry enemies are dangerous ones, Captain. We've only scratched their surface. They're adapting, and if they adapt faster than us, then we adapt faster," Arlen interrupted. "It's what humans do best." The Admiral studied him for a moment, then nodded. "Project Revenant is moving into Phase 2. You and your crew are being reassigned to the Vanguard fleet. We'll need every experienced officer for what's coming." Hours later, the Valiant Dawn and hundreds of new warships departed from Earth's orbit, heading deeper into Krythar space. This time, humanity wasn't running. They were taking the war to the enemy. The fleet's AI systems had evolved, integrating fragments of captured Krythar biotech. The new weapons pulsed like living creatures, firing energy drawn from hybrid cores. Orion's voice sounded stronger now, less mechanical and more alive. "Captain, our technology is adapting. But there are side effects." Arlen frowned. "Explain." "The biosystems respond to emotions," Orion said. "When the crew feels fear or anger, the weapons react. They feed on it." Arlen looked out at the stars. "Then maybe that's what we need. Let them feel our anger." The first target of the new offensive was the Krythar supply world, a planet-sized hive covered in black spires and pulsing red veins. As the fleet approached, the enemy defenses activated. Dozens of massive living cannons opened across the surface, launching bursts of plasma into orbit. "Incoming fire!" Lisa shouted. "Shields holding, barely." The human ships returned fire, unleashing a wave of missiles and railgun fire. The sky above the planet turned into a storm of explosions. Orion's voice echoed over the comms. "Targeting Central Hive Node. If we destroy it, the rest of the network collapses." "Do it," Arlen commanded. The Valiant Dawn dove through the storm, weaving between burning debris. The hybrid cannons pulsed with light, their fire guided by the emotions of the crew. Every shot grew stronger as the soldiers' anger boiled. The main weapon locked onto the hive core and fired. A blinding explosion erupted across the planet. The ground split open, sending rivers of fire and black smoke into the sky. The entire hive screamed, a psychic roar that echoed through space. "We did it!" Lisa cheered. But Orion's voice turned grim. "Captain, they're transmitting something." "What kind of signal?" "A scream," Orion replied. "They're calling for help." Moments later, thousands of red signatures appeared on the radar. The reinforcements had arrived, an entire swarm of Krythar warships, surrounding the human fleet from every side. "We're outnumbered," Vega warned. 10-1. Arlen's eyes hardened. "Then we make it count." The fleet fought like cornered wolves. The space around the hive world became a hurricane of light and fire. Human ships exploded, Krythar vessels burned, and the black void itself seemed to tremble. Every second, the hybrid weapons grew stronger, feeding on the crew's fury. Even as ships were lost, humanity refused to retreat. When the battle finally ended, the hive planet was gone, vaporized into dust. Half the human fleet was destroyed, but they had achieved the impossible again. The Krythar swarm had been pushed back. On the bridge, Lisa stared at the fading remains of the planet. "They'll come again, won't they?" she asked quietly. Arlen nodded. "Yes. And next time, they'll come for Earth." Orion's voice whispered softly. "Captain, you should know. The Krythar signal has changed. It's no longer a threat. It's fear." Arlen turned toward the dark stars. "Good," he said. "Let them feel what we felt." Across the galaxy, the Krythar hive world lay in ruins, its queen's roar echoing through the void. For the first time in 1,000 years, the monsters that had terrorized countless civilizations trembled. The prey had learned to hunt. And the galaxy realized something terrifying. Humans were no longer fighting for survival. They were fighting to win. Far beyond the edge of human sensors, deep in the black heart of a dying star cluster, the Krythar queen stirred. Her colossal form rested within the hive nexus, a living fortress larger than any planet. Her skin was made of obsidian plates, and her 1,000 crimson eyes glowed with fury. Around her, lesser queens whispered in fear, their bodies trembling. "The humans have destroyed our brood world," one hissed. "Their ships carry weapons that feed on rage. They are no longer prey." The queen's voice shook the chamber. "Silence." The air vibrated with her power. "For eons, we ruled the stars. We devoured empires. And now, this small, fragile race dares to defy us." Her claws sank into the flesh of the floor. "They have forgotten their place. But they will remember." She reached into the psychic network that connected every living Krythar across the galaxy. Through it, she sent her wrath. Billions of her children screamed in unison as her command echoed, "Burn their worlds. Break their spirit. Bring me their son." Across the void, hives awoke. Dormant fleets, sealed for millennia, tore free from asteroids and gas giants. Massive organic ships unfolded like dark flowers. The stars dimmed as a new wave of the Krythar swarm began to move, straight toward human space. Back in the Sol system, the warning came too late. Multiple warp signatures detected. A sensor officer shouted aboard the Titan Arkansas, "Numbers, unknown. They're coming through everywhere." In moments, hundreds of portals tore open across the system. The first wave hit Mars. The red planet became a firestorm. Its defense stations fought bravely but fell one by one. Earth watched in horror as the Martian colonies went dark. Admiral Rhea Dalton stood before the fleet command screen, her face pale. "They're hitting every colony at once," she said. "This isn't an invasion, it's extermination." Captain Arlen Frost and his crew were still returning from the outer front when the message reached them. "Earth is under attack." The words froze the entire bridge. For a second, no one moved. Then Arlen turned to Orion. "Get us there, now." "Warp drive unstable from the last battle," Orion warned. "If we jump immediately, there's a 30% chance we'll disintegrate." "Make it 20, Arlen said coldly. "And jump." Space twisted around the valiant Dawn as it tore through hyperspace, engines screaming. When they emerged, the sight that met them was beyond horror. The solar system was burning. Dozens of human ships fought desperately against a sea of red. The Krythar swarm had arrived in full force. "They're everywhere," Lisa whispered. "God, there must be millions." "Then we fight until we can't," Arlen said. "Target the command node." The ship dove into the chaos, firing everything it had. Railguns shredded living ships apart, plasma cannons lit the void, but the swarm kept coming. The Krythar fought like a storm of blades, tearing through anything in their way. A massive tendril-like ship wrapped around a destroyer and crushed it like paper. The screams over the comms filled the air. "We're losing ships," Vega shouted. "Half the fleet is gone." Arlen gritted his teeth. "Then the other half fights harder." But even as the battle raged, Orion's tone changed. "Captain, something's wrong. The Krythar movements, they're not random. They're hurting us." "Hurting us where?" Arlen asked. Toward the center of the system, Orion replied. Toward the sun. At that moment, a psychic voice filled every human mind, a cold, whispering tone that made the blood freeze. You are brave, it said. But your courage will end in fire. It was the Queen. Across the battlefield, a massive shape emerged from hyperspace. It wasn't a ship, it was a living world, a moon-sized organism pulsing with red light. Its tentacles stretched for miles, its mouth glowing white-hot. What is that? Lisa breathed. Orion's voice trembled. The Queen's vessel. Estimated mass, equal to a planet. The creature opened its jaws, releasing a beam of energy that cut through space. 3 human battleships vanished instantly, turned to dust. The valiant Dawn shook violently as shockwaves slammed against its hull. Evasive maneuvers. Arlen shouted. Keep us out of that thing's path. Captain, Vega said grimly. We can't kill something that size. Maybe not, Arlen said. But we can hurt it. He turned to Orion. Charge the singularity cannon. The AI hesitated. That weapon hasn't been tested. If it fails, we'll collapse our own warp core. If it fails, we die anyway, Arlen replied. Charge it. The ship's hull glowed as energy built up. The hybrid system screamed, the entire vessel trembling under the pressure. The Queen sensed the power and focused her attention on them. You think you can challenge me, little human? She whispered into Arlen's mind. I am the end of stars. Then I'll make sure you end first, Arlen growled. Fire! The valiant Dawn unleashed the singularity cannon. A ball of white energy shot forward, bending light around it. It slammed into the Queen's worldship, and for a moment, nothing happened. Then space exploded. The beam tore through the monster's side, ripping massive chunks of flesh and fire into the void. The Queen screamed, a sound that shook the stars themselves. Direct hit. Vega yelled. But the victory was short-lived. The Queen's wounds began to close, the organic flesh knitting back together. She's regenerating, Lisa cried. Orion's voice was grim. She's using the energy of the sun itself to heal. Arlen's hands clenched. Then we stop her before she finishes. The fleet rallied, focusing all their fire on the Queen's ship. Lasers, plasma, missiles, everything hit at once. The space around the sun became a war zone of blinding light. But the Queen was not finished. You cannot win, her voice thundered. This galaxy belongs to us. Not anymore, Arlen whispered. With one last push, he ordered the fleet to fire their warp cores in overload sequence. Dozens of ships sacrificed themselves, detonating in synchronized blasts. The explosion lit the system brighter than the sun. The Queen's vessel was torn apart, her body shattered into fragments that burned in the solar fire. For a moment, the swarm went silent. Humanity had struck down the unthinkable. But even as the flames faded, Orion spoke in a low, uneasy tone. Captain, I'm still detecting psychic activity. She's not dead. Arlen looked out at the glowing remains drifting in space. Then we finish it, he said quietly. No matter what it takes. The battle was won, but deep in the ashes of the Queen's corpse, something still pulsed. Something alive. And somewhere in the darkness beyond the edge of the galaxy, other hives began to stir. The war was not over. It was just about to become something far worse.